Hi, everybody. Welcome. Great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for taking time out of your Wednesdays to be with us here. Excited to be able to go over the virtual retreat with you guys, the Lifestyle Incubator. Before we jump right into it, before we get started, and as people are continuing to join us, I just want to go over some of the technology that we are going to be using on our call today. So first of all, welcome to Zoom. This is actually the same platform that we use to host all of our virtual retreats. So you're getting a little primer on how we run our sessions here, how the session feels. Your mics are on mute for right now and will be for the whole call. So we don't have too many folks talking over each other and dogs barking in the background. So we just ask that you also turn your videos off, except for John and our alumni who are joining us. But the chat box is open, so feel free to say hello, tell us where you're calling in from. That's a great chance for you to ask some questions there. We are going to be using that for the question and answer section a little bit later today. So for now, feel free to say hello. Tell us where you're calling in from, how you're doing today. So this call should be around 30 to 45 minutes. We'll see how it goes, how many questions we have to ask, how many people are joining us here today. And last thing is this call is being recorded for many folks who weren't able to make it, who want to watch it again later. So just give us a little wave, hello, so everyone can see your future cohort. Hello. So with that, let's continue the fun. Let's jump into it. Let me officially welcome you to Unsettled's Lifestyle Incubator webinar. So grateful to have you all here. I'm going to do some quick introductions and the agenda to let you know who we are and what our plan is for today. Hi, guys. My name is Corey. I am calling in today from Memphis, Tennessee. I've been with Unsettled for over 2 years now. I have led over a dozen retreats across the world, but this year, of course, has been a little different. This year, I've been having fun fitting all of our retreat experience right into your computer, in your living room with our Unsettled virtual retreats. When I'm not here speaking in front of a computer, I'm outside shooting photos, learning new bird calls, working the land in my garden, whatever else. We also have here Jonathan. Jonathan, could you give us a little intro?
Hey everybody, good to be here. Jonathan, co-founder of Unsettled and co-facilitator for the Lifestyle Incubator. Calling in currently from Salt Lake City. I'm on the road and posted up here for a week. And I also want to introduce our special guests. We have 3 awesome alumni from our last session joining us today. There is Ashmi, who I think is in Malta at the moment. Still there?
Yes, very much in Malta.
In Malta. Awesome. We'll introduce you guys and have you guys dig in a little bit. Oliver, who is in Houston or Dallas, Texas. I always forget.
Yeah, currently I'm in the Bay Area, but Dallas. I reside in Dallas. Yeah.
All right, I was close. And Andrew, joining us from Florida, or no. Andrew, where are you in Florida?
I'm calling in from Fort Lauderdale, South Florida.
There we go. All right, I got the states mostly right, or countries. Awesome. We're super excited to have you guys with us, and we will be jumping into a lot of your stories and experiences in just a bit. Corey, I'm going to pass it back to you to go over the agenda, and let's kick this thing off.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jonathan. Just a reminder, guys, if you are not on the Unsettled team or part of our alumni group here, please turn your cameras off so no one gets confused as to who we are talking to. Keep your microphones on mute, and let's get into our plan for the call today. So first of all, we're going to give you a little backstory of Unsettled. Jonathan and I are going to share a little bit more about the founding of Unsettled and how we ended up here today. And from there, we're going to give you a brief overview of the Lifestyle Incubator, our virtual retreat format, what that's all about, who's it for, things like that. Afterward, we're going to turn it over to our alumni, the people who have actually been through our program, because there's no one better to speak about the Lifestyle Incubator than our participants. So we're going to open up the floor to them to share their stories in a question and answer format. They'll share a little bit about themselves, then you will have an opportunity to ask them some questions about their experience with the Lifestyle Incubator. And then that's how we're going to end, with an open Q&A. We're going to open up to all of you. Ask any questions of the alumni, of Jonathan, of myself, anything that you can answer, throw it out to us. We'll be happy to answer. So that should take us through our full time. So let's go ahead and let's kick things off. So as I said, we want to start with a little bit about Unsettled and how we came to be. And there's no better man to do that than one of the co-founders himself. Jonathan, I'm going to pass it over to you to give us a little bit more of the Unsettled backstory.
Thanks, Corey. So much pressure. I'll keep it brief, but as Corey mentioned, I just wanted to take a moment before diving into the Q&A just to share a little bit more about how we got here and just ground us in what is this thing called Unsettled as a community and as a company. It was actually about 6 years ago that my co-founder, Michael, and I organized a sailing trip with about 40 friends from around the world. It was super self-organized. We were our own captains, crews, cooks, cleaners, and more. And, while the intention was really just a fun vacation to bring people together from around the world that we didn't get to see very often, we quickly realized it was something much, much bigger. In part because most of us either happen to be entrepreneurs, freelancers, or working independently, or others of us were just in transitions. We were all, I think, at this stage where we were thinking deeply about what we wanted next, how we wanted to design and reconfigure our lives. And we ended up realizing that, we often didn't get to have space for those conversations or a real support system for those conversations. And so what came out of that trip, I think, was some of the most deep and powerful connections and conversations and memories of our lives. And we realized that, if you bring the right community of people together with a shared set of values and you ask the right questions, incredible things can happen. And so fast forward 6 years now, and we've run over 100 retreats, in-person retreats across 20 countries. We've grown our community to over 2,500 people from 80 countries, all different backgrounds, professions, industries, but who all share in this common desire to push the boundaries and ask these bigger questions with an intentional community of people. It's been an awesome journey. And despite all that's going on with COVID and travel, we're still really grateful to be here and doing what we love. Which brings us, I think, to the Lifestyle Incubator, right? It was almost a year ago, actually, exactly a year ago, that we launched the Lifestyle Incubator, which is really designed as this highly interactive and unconventional program designed to challenge you to discover what's next, right? In your life, in your career, and in those gray areas in between. Our goal is to give you the time and space and tools, along with framework and a global community, to navigate some of those bigger questions with intention and clarity. We combine live sessions, interactive workshops, practical tools, original frameworks, and conversations to really help you identify some of those core tensions between the lifestyle you want and the career trajectory that aligns your values, your interests, and your skills. We have run 8 programs, I think, to date, probably 7 of them back to back, month over month. So it's been a really exciting journey. And before Corey talks a little bit about the structure, I just want to tell you what it is not, because that's equally as important as what it is. This is not an online course. It is meant to be highly collaborative and community driven, right? It's not something where we're just sitting there talking to you. It is something that is very interactive and conversational, and yes, rooted in a curriculum and frameworks, but also with enough open space to really dive deeper into those things and reflect on what they mean to us. It is not a program about finding your dream job, becoming a successful freelancer. We don't have like a Tony Robbins 5-step solution to success. That's not it. Our goal is to really provide these sort of no BS frameworks and tools and resources that help you make the decision that is right for you, right? We're not prescriptive. We really allow you the opportunity to think about what you're looking for, question that, and drive it forward. It is, you know what? I think that's good. I think it's enough about what it's not. So let's talk about what it is. Corey, I'm going to pass it over to you and for you to share a little bit about the structure, and then we'll dive into Q&A. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Thanks, Jonathan. So yeah, just like Jonathan said, I'm going to talk about what is it for you? And then, yeah, we're going to hear from the alumni, right? So the most important thing is we modeled this experience from the 30-day retreats that we've run all over the world for the past 4 years. Nearly every participant who joins us on those types of trips has done so to set aside some time to think about what's next for me. You know, should I change jobs? Should I move? And we've developed these workshops and experiences that we've now designed virtually for you to help you live a more intentional life. So we've taken this structure that we've run nearly 100 times all over the world, and we've put it online. Over 30 days, we host 10 live sessions for you and a community of your peers to introduce to you tools and frameworks to help you take inventory of your experience and of your life so far and help you put thought into where you want to be in the future. So this happens through 16 hours of live workshops and sessions that are also recorded, that you can join live, but are also recorded and available 24/7 to you afterward. These are 2-hour sessions twice a week. These are working sessions. As Jonathan said, these are not lectures, these are not webinars. We dive into these new concepts and tools and help you to process them together. We also give you, during the course of the month, 8 offline exercises and worksheets, frameworks, and assignments. These are intended to support your journey, to bring the work into your homes and into your routine so that you can work on them at your own time, at your own pace. And these are things that can be used, they're designed to use again and again and again long after we've finished our month together. That might be a great question for our alumni if they've continued to use these tool works. We also give you the option of 8 open office hours. These are informal, facilitated conversations to help you connect with one another, everyone in the group, and process with others on similar journeys as yourself. It's a chance to go a little deeper, to draw a little more meaning from the well, right? We also offer things like one-on-one sessions with one another. First of all, everyone in the group is encouraged to connect with one another, and then you can also have a one-on-one opportunity to talk with your one of your unsettled facilitators or the co-founders. We also offer a live community platform to connect, post, share, discuss daily with 20 plus whoever is in the group, professionals from around the globe. In our last cohort, in fact, I just went through this, we counted 4,000 messages just on our public channels alone. That doesn't even include the private messages that people were sending one another. And that, at the end of the day, is really one of the most integral pieces of this whole puzzle, the community. Imagine for a moment a community where questions like, hey, do you mind helping me with my life's purpose for a second, is a totally normal question. All of us, no matter if you're on this call or not, have some big questions swimming around in our brains, but so often that's where they stay because talking about them to others is weird and vulnerable and uncomfortable, but not here, not on this retreat. When you sign up, you and everyone else have invested in the time and space to think and to put together an intentional plan to design the life that you want and the career that you want to have. And for many people, that's a team sport, right? We all may be on different journeys, but a lot of us need that accountability and that support and honesty. And that is how our month is done together. Okay. That's all I wanted to say. That's a little bit about the Lifestyle Incubator. I think you've heard plenty from the Unsettled team for now. And I'd like to, at this point, turn things over to our incredible alumni and let you hear from them. I saw a couple of questions come in. Kate, thank you for asking your question. Jonathan, thank you for answering. Keep them coming as we go. But first of all, I'm going to throw out a couple of questions to get the conversation started. So once again, big thanks to Ashmi, Oliver, and Andrew for joining us here today. Thank you guys for being here. Now, as we get into the questions, guys, remember that everyone's experience is personal and unique based on their own journey and where they are in life. And that is what we'd like to start with, actually. So this question is for all three of you. Oliver, I've seen that you've already unmuted, so I'm going to give you the chance to go first. I would like for all of you to just take a moment in a few sentences to just describe your story of how you ended up joining the Lifestyle Incubator. Like, what had your past few months or even years looked like that you made the decision, yes, now is the time for me to sign up for this? You know, why was this the next step for you? Take it away, Oliver.
Take it away. So good morning, or perhaps good evening or good afternoon, depending on where you are this morning, but glad to be here. For me, real quickly, my background is a rather eclectic or diverse one, including work in the consumer products industry, including with one of the big soft drink giants, as well as public-private partnerships around science education in California, and then a rather lengthy stint in municipal government in a number of different roles and with a number of different roles and responsibilities. But what I will say that the common theme or thread throughout my 25 plus years of experience or career has been that of supporting individuals as well as teams and diverse stakeholder groups to do their best and most productive thinking, and that for the purpose of solving challenging problems, coming up with generating innovative solutions, as well as producing tangible outcomes. And all of that with the belief that whether a team, whether a community group, that we're better and at our best when there is a diversity of thought at work, as we all gather around the table to do some really important thinking. And that with that diversity of thought, drawing out different life experiences, perspectives, and ideas, that when we leverage all that, we're able to create some really great things in communities, in organizations, in different parts of the world. And so, all the things that Jonathan talked about, connections, conversations, being with people who share similar values. And for me, one of the biggest ones is asking questions. And I guess because of the work that I've done, and more specifically that you can call what I do or what I am, is that of a process designer and facilitator. So I had a ball asking questions, as Corey and Jonathan and Ashmi and Andrew can attest to. Right before the virtual retreat started, I had just been, the position I was in had been eliminated. And so from the budget with the organization that I was with, which created this unexpected opening to explore a lot sooner than I had planned the next step in life. And so I was able to rework the narrative in a way that it really could not have been a better time to join Unsettled with the Lifestyle Incubator in the virtual retreat. And so yes, it was all the stars aligned, and so it was a fantastic experience. And so I'll now pitch it to my fellow alum Andrew, and put Andrew on the spot now.
Perfect. Can everyone hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up. Perfect. So my name's Andrew. I'm 30 years old. I live in South Florida. And for the last 4.5 years, I was working in a very disruptive industry, the cannabis industry here in the United States. I worked for one of the largest CBD manufacturers in the country. And once quarantine hit, my personal experience was it really allowed me to experience all the bottled up emotions and kind of feelings towards the company as it changed over the years. And so, I'm highly ambitious, both personally and professionally, and I'm very self-reflective. I love connecting. I love speaking with people about their different experiences and taking that feedback and applying it to myself. And so back in June, I made the decision to leave my company. And I made that decision based on a very strong feeling in my heart. And I didn't have any roles or opportunities lined up that I was about to hop into. So the day I quit, I went over to a family friend's house, and it was a husband and wife, the husband of which was very familiar with Unsettled. And as I was describing my last day, having my last conversations with this team I had built really a lot of life experiences with over the last couple of years, he had mentioned that Unsettled, which I was familiar with and very interested in taking a physical excursion to experience, they had pivoted to a virtual model. Now, this was in the throes of quarantine when we were still kind of figuring out whether we can leave or not. And so I thought not only was it perfect to get involved and get engaged and connect with people from all over the world, but when he told me it could provide some clarity for me personally on what the next step was, I didn't need any explanation. I didn't need to check the website. I signed up pretty much on the spot. And I got another friend, his daughter, to sign up as well. So that's how I found out about Unsettled. That's how that's my quick journey to get into the Lifestyle Incubator. And Ashmi, to you.
Sure. Very exciting stories. I mean, Jonathan will know. So I was sitting on the fence for about 6 months. I had seen this program online on Facebook, and I'm a bit of a traveler. So I really like the idea of kind of the offline retreats that the Unsettled team, used to run. And yeah, I for, when there's a point in your life when you know that you're ready for a breakthrough and you need a little bit of a push, that feeling had been arising for a few months. And I was talking to friends and family about it. And I was making excuses like financial or otherwise, or, this is virtual. I'm not really a virtual person. I prefer a more hands-on experience. And at some point, after it also just came together in a way in the last, in the one that we signed up for. And I felt the need to dive right in. My intention was to get a breakthrough and to get clarity emotionally with regards to my work, with regards to my passions in coaching and art. And I would say it's been like a really pivotal 1 month from a change of perspective, like in terms of the way I think about life, about how I want to do things moving forward. It's really shifted the needle in my head. I wouldn't say from a tangible, like I'm now this $1 million coach or whatever. You cannot expect results like that in a month. But in terms of a group of people that are kind of very like-minded, they're all looking for a shift. They're all looking to pivot and be their best selves. Just the power of that community is massive. And I think for me, that's how the month really helped. And I'm so glad I pushed myself a little bit to sign up, and the guys were great, and I've met amazing people, made lovely friends, and I know this journey is going to continue for a while to come.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for that. So I'm curious to know when you after you signed up, so you've made the decision to sign up, we know a little bit about where your head's at. I'm curious to know, put yourself back in our very first Zoom call that we had together, that very first welcome call. You have these expectations about what it's going to be. When you met everyone else in the community and kicked things off, how did it compare to what you were expecting? At what point, what were your first impressions on that first day? Let's hear from Oliver.
My first impressions, what I was first struck by and had anticipated, given the what I knew about the program, was all the different people from around the world. That was the most, that's what resonated the most, was there was going to be this great opportunity to connect with people of all ages, from all different parts of the world, from different industries, people who were freelancers, as well as those who had run businesses, similar to Andrew, others who were clearly very talented individuals, but were looking to transition and really do something different. So for me, that was what was most exciting at the onset, and what jumped out at me.
Awesome. Let's hear from Andrew, and Ashmi, I have a different question for you.
Sure. So as I shared previously, I didn't have a lot of heads up on what the experience would be. besides it being a Zoom call, including people from around the world. So my expectation was everyone's in the same position I am. They all just like kind of left a company or were looking to leave a company. And what I was very pleasantly surprised by, as Oliver shared, is there's just such a diverse background of individuals, business owners, freelancers, people that were traveling as they were doing the retreat. And it really, again, lends itself such great perspective for a young guy like me looking for a next career move and just looking to expand my perspective of the world and how people create success and freedom for themselves. So it was really diving into the unknown feet first. And again, being very pleasantly surprised by how many different people of different ages and backgrounds comprise the group.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Now, Ashmi, a different question for you. Now, I know that you were working full-time or nearly close to full-time as you were when you were doing the retreat. And I talked a little bit ago about 16 hours of live calls and the frameworks that you do at your home and on your own time. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you manage your time. Is it possible to do this lifestyle incubator with a full-time job? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say you get as much out of the program as you invest in. I don't think there was ever any force from the facilitators or from anybody in terms of like attending and showing up. Everything is always recorded. If you happen to miss a session and you're kind of have a late meeting, there are ways through the community and through the content that's available online that you can catch up. And you can really do it at a pace that's suitable to you. Some of us had time towards the end of the program to kind of catch up on a few exercises, which we did. And I think even in terms of the office hours and the availability of the team. So wherever you're at in your journey, the content is as such that you do not need to finish it module by module, and you can kind of pick it up where you left off. And that's, I took a very, I embraced it. Initially, it was a little bit, you wonder what this is going to be about, and there's a little bit of trepidation, and you think like, my God, am I adding to my liabilities? And there's only 24 hours in a day. But it's like there's a quote which says, where focus is, that's where your energy kind of flows, right? So if you're keen about a movement forward in an area of your life, this course and will fit into your life, and you will make time for it in a natural, organic way, and it will happen. So I think even with a full-time job, it's very doable. And it's interesting. It doesn't feel like just a one-way content stream. You're talking to people, you're interacting. So if you take it with the approach of kind of play, then I think even with your other commitments, you can kind of have fun with it.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Jonathan, you're managing the chat there like a champ. Just wondering if you have any questions or anything to add here at this point.
I do. So we've talked a bit about the structure, about your experience leading up to it. I want to dive in with a question around the content and the frameworks, right? What are you actually getting out of this? We've talked a lot about community and the conversations, and that's a big part of it, but I don't want to talk about our frameworks and give away all those secrets, but I do want to ask you guys, whoever wants to chime up, was there a certain framework or exercise or workshop that challenged you, that triggered something different in how you think about yourself or your role in the world? Andrew's nodding his head very hard, so I'm just going to automatically pick on him first. Share with us, Andrew.
Sure. There were two exercises that come to mind. The first is an exercise a lot of us really appreciated and got such value from. It's the Ikigai exercise. It's a concept taken from Okinawa, Japan, if I'm not mistaken. And it has to do with getting clearer on your purpose. And what I really appreciated is I like to have very connected, deeper than surface level types of conversations. And even though it's something I'm very passionate about, what I appreciated about that exercise is not only doing it with such a large group of people where you can interact and talk with each other about what you're getting out of it and kind of where you're hitting up against challenges. But one of the concepts that really stuck with me even today is it normalizes the conversation about purpose. And for me, that framework and that foundation allowed me, again, not just with the group, but with people I interact with on a daily basis here in South Florida, to initiate more conversations about purpose and be a lot more comfortable doing so. And so that, after that framework specifically, I had so many conversations sharing about the exercise I had done, and it led to such profound conversations I feel I wouldn't have had otherwise. So that was an incredible one. The other is what I believe it's called life mapping, where you take decisions you need to make 3 years out, and you have 3 scenarios you challenge yourself to complete. One being kind of a risk it all scenario, one being a go with the flow, and then one being you've made no changes. And so for someone like me, it really challenged me to look forward a couple years, which I don't really do. I'm very kind of in the moment, trust myself, have faith that it'll work out kind of guy. So those questions that are posed in that specific exercise really challenged me to look towards the future and work backwards, is how the exercise goes, to set some great goals, see what my life could look like if I went this path versus this one versus another. And the fact that both of these exercises were incredibly experiential, and you're not just sitting back listening to people talk about it, meant the world of difference.
I'll add that as part of one of the exercises that we experienced, we talked about or explored expectations, and expectations of ourselves, societal expectations of family, friends, and partners, of our careers. And one of the things that I enjoyed about that is how the discussion or how expectations showed up in other exercises throughout the time that we were together. And I can remember one office hours session. Those are on Tuesdays. Those are 1 hour each, and you have an option of doing one or both. But it was during those times where you can really dig in, smaller group. And I can remember one where one of our cohorts was struggling with something, and we had this opportunity to talk about, how are expectations showing up in the struggle that you're having. And so I really enjoyed that, the yin and the yang, or the push and the pull that you experienced throughout all of the tools that we used.
I remember that conversation very well, Oliver. That was actually one of the, I think the most interesting conversations we've had in office hours. So yeah, I remember that quite well. Ashmi, anything to add to that? Anything that challenged you, inspired you?
I mean, in terms of the exercises that we did, yeah, I would say the life compass for me was a really powerful one. And we kind of looked at, what our true heading and where our true north in each area of our life and where we currently are at. And I think, just as someone who has always associated my work identity, which a lot of us do in life, kind of our career identities as kind of the main box that we like to fit ourselves in, that exercise was very eye-opening. There are some other areas which are much more important, which I hadn't been focusing on. So I think that really created a shift. The exercises are very, very powerful, I think, and they're templates that, I mean, I have, in fact, them all here in front of me, like all of the scribbles that we did. And very often I check in with them and kind of, so yeah, I'd say other than the collaboration and the weekly calls, the exercise is something you take with you for the next couple of months and years in your life. They're very tactile, they're very hands-on, and like Andrew was saying, it's opened up a lot of conversations. Like, if you see yourself kind of as you end up having these conversations and spreading the word in your own groups around, are you thinking about your purpose? What's your true north? And the whole, if everybody's having much more elevated conversations about who they really are, then I think you're just having an influence, in a tangible way, and also in a very everyday way. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Thanks, Jonathan, for that great question. Okay. Let's see. I think Jonathan and I have one more sort of big question to ask of the alumni, but before we get to that, I'm curious to hear from you guys. Anyone out there have any questions for our alumni? Is this retreat right for me? What was your experience? Anything like that? Feel free to put it up on the chat now and we'll answer it in real time. Go ahead. Putting you on the spot there. Yeah, as Katya pointed out, we do have other virtual, retreat experiences available. You can find more information about those individually on our website. And John, also, if you're looking more to contact us individually, you can find our contact information on the website as well, beunsettled.co. Okay, so as we wait for some more questions to come in, let me pose one more to our alumni. We've talked a big game about how this experience is all about what's next for me, helping you find some clarity about what's next. And so now I kind of want to put our money where our mouth is and turn it over to the alumni to ask, guys, what's next for you? How did this retreat impact you? Did you find answers that you were seeking? Tell us a little bit more about how we helped you find what's next. Ashmi, let's start with you.
Sure. So yeah, I think for me, something that we really talked about is the power of experiments and data. I'm a very spiritual person and I move at my own pace, let's say, but the program helped me look at kind of data points and running smaller experiments. So you don't just dive in and you kind of say, I'm going to start my own business. I'm now looking at I got my first coaching client. So that's something that happened in the last month after the program. I'm currently in the middle of putting my manuscript together. I'm a writer and a poet as well. That's taking shape and just by doing the experiments and kind of committing to 45 minutes every day of writing, I've had huge momentum in terms of the writing side of things. So um, and looking at a model which is a lot more blended, kind of me being a consultant to corporates in terms of creative marketing, but then having the space to sell my art, do my writing, and I'm currently having those conversations with companies. So I would say that again, it's a change in perspective. It's not just now a full-time job that dictates my reality and everyday life, but um, some other things are going on which I think is more representative of the kind of life I'd want to lead a couple of years from now. So that has been a shift since we did the course when I was in a full-time job, and that was all there was to it. So, yep.
Awesome, thank you very much, Ashmi. Oliver?
Yeah, throughout the month, it was this one major affirmation that my trajectory or the path that I was on was an authentic one. It was really, I was able to say, yes, I'm seeing how things lined up. And I had already begun working on and have continued to work on standing up a process design and facilitation consultancy. And so I've been working, actually while I've been away in California, working with my web designer who's back in Texas, as we've been sharing copy that he's using as we begin to shape and put into place the website. So hopefully come the thick of this fall, I will be fully operational with that consultancy. So really, really excited about that. Had an opportunity to engage Andrew in an exercise or an experiment, which is something you'll learn more about if you decide to take on the virtual retreat. I had an opportunity to engage Andrew and several others in an experiment to see how the concept behind the consultancy resonated with them, as well as to use it also as a marketing tool as well. So pretty excited about that.
Andrew, anything to add there before we move to Desiree's question?
Absolutely. And I can partly address her question because for me, I left a role that made me great money and I experienced a good amount of success, but it was by no means where I saw myself as far as the end goal professionally. So some of the tangible results I created during the retreat and thereafter up to now are this. Number one, in terms of creative expression, something unrelated but kind of related to professional, I launched a poetry Instagram to share my own creative expression with the world, and I felt a lot of purpose in that. Some conversations with some individuals on the retreat were a huge factor in me taking the leap to get that done. One of the individuals on the retreat also hosted a great financial freedom seminar. So it was an individual that was a participant, but had been through a couple of the excursions before. He hosted a seminar on how he was able, through real estate and some investment opportunities, to create financial freedom for himself. And that was such a shift in perspective for where I kind of saw myself and what was so fixed for me for so long. So as I enter my new role, which I'm starting next week, with a smaller company that I trust I can take to the next level in a couple ways, I'm really seeing how the income I'm going to generate from that role, I'm going to use very strategically in terms of investments and getting myself into a lot more financial freedom versus in years past when I just made a lot of money and I spent a lot of money too. Besides that, just the inspiration of so many different people to travel. I traveled twice last month through quarantine here in the States. And yeah, just a lot more, I'm sure, if I put my attention on it, but that sounds like a good answer for me for now.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. And Corey, I wanted to hop in with Desiree because it was an interesting question. I can share my personal experience is actually a lot of these exercises, in some ways they've evolved many times over the years, but I first used a lot of them when I left a career working as a foreign correspondent and journalist in Africa and the Middle East, covering social innovation, social development. And it was a similar situation, I think, of a dream job or something really noble that I believed in, and it still just didn't feel like the direction that I wanted to go in. And there's some interesting exercises like the process statement and others that we do that help tease apart the difference between the work that you do, the things that you enjoy, and sort of the organization or the company that you're at or the role that you have, that sort of deconstruct that. And we've had a number of people join from the UN, surprising or not, over the past couple of months. I can count at least 3 or 4, either based, internationally or in Switzerland or somewhere else. So really interesting question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Desiree, for that question. Anyone else anything to add there on whether, it's better to sign up after you've climbed the career ladder, or if you're questioning your goals, anything to add there? Ashmi, maybe?
Yeah, sure. I think you have to check in with yourself. I don't think you have to reach a certain point in your career to join the retreat. And I think the answers that are right to you will emerge from this retreat. But if there's unease or frustration and there are career related questions that are making you feel stuck, I do believe this community will help you figure it out, and you will, by the end of the course, have a clearer understanding of either you might be in the job, but you may not derive your self-worth and value from the job. You may be doing other things that make you feel you see the job as a job and an income source, or you realize that, hey, my purpose needs to be reflected in my role, and I need to be working for an organization whose ethics I really resonate with. But the clarity of that and which answer is right for you particularly will emerge through the retreat, for sure, through the conversations and through that exploration and the exercises that are there. So I can't give you a black or white, like which is right for you, but I can say that you will be closer to what is personally resonating. And it doesn't matter where you are, high or middle, or, wherever you are in your journey, it helps all of us, me, Andrew, and Oliver are on very different paths, but, the retreat helped us all in different ways. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks very much, Ashmi. And I'll just add there to that end, just in this last month alone, we had everyone from a full-time mom to full-time executives and entrepreneurs who have launched their own businesses and are working full-time. So I mean, there is no limit to, I think, what you can discover during your month with us here. It looks like Katya had one more question come in. The different options you have now with virtual experiences. Would you say that this is a good first step to get familiar with everything to do in Unsettled? Yeah, I would. And I mean, if for no other reason, it's tough to know exactly when we're going to be able to start traveling again. I mean, when we're going to be able to launch these retreat experiences. And this is just a great way to get sort of your foot in the door and get connected with a global community with diverse opinions, with diverse backgrounds, with the ability to help you advance your goal, the ability to help you launch that podcast that you've always been dreaming about. And yeah, I mean, this is a great time, a great way to get started in that community. Thank you very much for that question, Katya. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan to say thank you and for us to close up. I will, before that, add my thank you for being here. Thank you to the alumni for taking the time. There will be a recording of this webinar that goes out. I'll let John talk about that a little bit in his closing. But thanks again. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great evening. And I hope to see you all in October's virtual retreat.
Awesome. I just wanted to, echo Corey and Oliver, Andrew, Ashmi, thank you guys so much for joining us well after your experience, for following up with us, for staying in touch. It's been wonderful and really just speaking from the heart, being honest about your experiences, I think really helpful to everybody here and everybody who's going to be watching. To everybody watching, thank you for great questions. Really insightful. It sounds like you're very much on the right track of thinking about taking a next step, or about, at least these questions are there. And I hope today's session provided some clarity around that. I will say, as the final sort of plug, our deadline is Friday for our early registration. I think we have 2 early registration spots left. There's only 15, and then we'll probably have, 20, 25 people for next month. So deadline is Friday. It is our last session of the year. We're going to go out with a big bang, woohoo, before we kick it off again in 2021. There's also a special buy one, give one. We've never done this before, but if you do have a partner, a friend, or somebody who you want to share the Lifestyle Incubator with, if you sign up, you get to gift one to somebody who is really looking forward to it for free. So that is all for me. Email us with any details. It's lifestyle@beunsettled.co, and we'll get right back to you. But again, thank you guys so much for being here. Thanks our alumni. Thank you, Corey. And we'll hopefully see you in a couple weeks. Bye for now.
Thank you.